My book is about a screenwriter who goes into a hospice looking for a story for his next movie. What I want to read you, and it bonds with an older man. The man's name is Charlie Wright. He has a booming voice, kind of like Gary Kent. He's an architect, and he's on his last days. What I want to read you is the very last thing I wrote in the book. I kind of subscribe to the notion that as writers, when we're in the flow, we are black holes. Anything that comes in contact with us will get sucked into the work. I had Jesse Sublett talking to one of my classes at ACC, an honors class in Texas literature. Jesse, if you don't know who he is he was the lead singer and founder of one of my favorite bands, the Skunks, an old Austin band. But more importantly, for this circumstance, he was talking about his memoir of being a rock and roller, of experiencing his girlfriend getting murdered and helping to track down the murderer, and surviving cancer when he had like an 8% chance of survival. So he came, and you should buy his book. It's on sale here. It's a good book. It's a really well-written memoir. So I'm sitting there in class, and Jesse Sublett's got his notes next to me. And I look over, and he's got this line, abstract thoughts on learning to fly. And I said, all right, I'm stealing that. I go straight in the black hole. So that's the genesis of this. This is Charlie Wright in his last hours of life. And all you need to know about Charlie Wright is that one of his sons committed suicide, and he has a son and a daughter, a living son and a daughter. The writer boy is talking, but someone has turned the volume down. I can feel his sadness radiate, but I can do nothing. He keeps fading. Everything's disintegrating. He and I both know I will die soon, whatever that means. His face, so fresh and unlined, shimmers like a mosaic of blue raindrops. He forces a smile, but a breeze sweeps it away and replaces him with the swing set my Uncle Joe built when I was 7. All splinters and squeaky links of cold chain. I scrunch my feet together and lean into it. Again, higher, more. My hands slip free of the metal, and my tiny body hurtles through the air. Bare feet slide to a stop in cool sand. Was this the seed from whence the flying dreams grew? It's also abstract, the lessons for learning to fly. No, not flying, more like swimming when it comes down to it. The wide spot in Barley Creek. I hold my breath and push cupped hands through the water. Hazy silence. My fingers reach out and read the pebbles lining the muddy bottom. I'm an eel, a merman wiggling through the green, earthy wetness. At home, Ma is cranking homemade vanilla ice cream. Dad's turn comes when her arm tires. Then I'm on deck. Later, we'll squat on the back porch, listen to the growl of summer cicadas, and drift. In my dreams, I can only fly as high as the treetops. Once when the kids were little, Mike, the youngest, the one who killed himself, talked me into buying a cockatiel. Mike's doe eyes studied every motion as I gingerly trimmed the bird's feathers, just enough to keep it from flying far. We grew used to the hobbled lime green bird flitting around the house, leaking shit everywhere in its path. But the wings grew quickly, and the kids were careless. I was careless. The cockatiel slipped past the open door and flew into a nearby tree. While the kids snoozed, I chased that damn crap machine from tree to tree. Its wings still weren't grown in enough for a longer hop. I rose on tippy toes and swatted at it. The bird flew up one branch higher and waited me out. Thus, the dance between us began. One tree, then another, then back. About dawn, it landed on my shoulder, looked at me with innocent bloodshot eyes, opened its little beak, and laughed. I wanted to be a Martian. My folks were Earthlings. I was something more. Tinfoil antennas sprouted from my noggin, and a weird language of clicks and hiccups communicated my strangeness to Mom and Dad. First, there's liftoff. Imagine my body is a helium-filled balloon. Use the hands, gently at first. Flap. Push down as feet drift upward. It gets easier soon. Think happy thoughts. Stay in the moment or crash. Sometimes it's hard to stay up there. Strangers grasp at my feet, strain to pull me to ground. In slumber, the authorities are always mistakenly out to nab me for murder, when all I've ever destroyed are a pesky cockroach or 4, one marriage, and countless rusty dreams. Flying is better than the best sex, more freeing than the tablet of acid I took with 2 of Mike's jock pals while still in full-on grief after his death. Strange visions that night. The boys played thundering rap music while I nodded and pretended to relate. Frankly, the stuff was angry noise. Give me Sinatra, belting out, "That's life." But that day I couldn't escape the rap beat that filled the room, pressed down like a giant thumb on my skull, wrapped meaty fingers around my throat. I lifted the window and thrust my face out into the night, greedily sucking in cool air. Down below, laughing college girls were covering the trees with toilet paper. The streamers curled into words. Ha, ha, ho, ho, he, he. I leaned out for a closer look and tumbled 2 stories down into a bush. Slow motion all the way down. It was like I understood the meaning of life and the truth was one big joke. I couldn't stop laughing. But in the morning, no matter how much I strained my poor old brain, I couldn't remember life's big secret. That door had shut tight. Another dream. Hovering above Barley Creek, I could almost fathom life's mysteries again. The creek ran along a fault line. One side rose up as a rocky cliff. Standing on the edge was Janice. Mike's Janice. My Janice. Her makeup was heavier than in real life, and her dress was one of those blousy Mexican numbers that were all the rage back in the 60s when I was on the tail end of being young. She raised her index finger and pointed at me. "Hi," she said. "Hi," I replied. As soon as I uttered the word, my body began to sink toward the ground. I was shacking up with another dame by then, someone closer to my age range, and mildly to partly boring. I awoke in the morning to the metallic squeal of the modern-day telephone. I answered with a half asleep. "Yes?" "Hi," the caller replied. It was Janice calling to catch up. "Hi," I said. Bob is crying by my bedside. Bob is his other son, his living son. It's the worst for him. If only we could have communicated, ever. When my old man died, one of his running buddies told me the old tripe that you don't become a man until your father dies, ready or not. I mouthed the words, "I'm sorry," to Bob, but still no sound. My dreams and waking life had been poured into a stew pot and stirred into a fiery mess I hardly recognized, but for a few floating lumps. Sinatra, start spreading the news. I'm leaving today, taking flight. It all went by so quickly. Snapshots. My first love. Sorry, kids, it's not your mother. With her cheek pressed to the dusty wooden floor, smiling at a fat, formerly stray cat as it slept. We were broke, the ceiling was stained from the latest leaks, and both were beautiful, the woman and the feline curled at my feet. Driving 100 miles an hour down Kill Hill, my best friend Scott Fenway screaming, me grinning and tempting death. Luck be a lady tonight. The steamboat's throaty wail as it sluiced along the mighty Mississippi. The sad void in my daughter Carla's eyes, 1 week after my baby boy's funeral, when she caught me kissing his girlfriend Janice. My only daughter strokes my hand and whispers in my ear, "I'm so sorry, little girl. Forgive your old man. I never meant to send you to the psychiatrist's couch. No parent ever means harm. I tried to build a strong foundation for you all, but in the end I was just another Daedalus. You know, he was an architect like me. He built the wings so he and his kid could escape harm, but his boy Icarus, comes up again, didn't listen to Daedalus's warning and flew too close to the sun. Listen to me, kids. Let it go. Make your own mistakes. Like Sinatra, I did it my own flawed way. You do it yours. Quick. Time is running out. It's the last dance, the final curtain. Reincarnate me as a bird, boys. I'm ready to soar. How's it go again? First, there's liftoff. Imagine my body is a helium-filled balloon. Use the hands, gently at first. Flap. Push down as feet drift upward. Higher. Drift with the wind. At the treetops, grab a handful of leaves and bark. Hang on and sway in the breeze until it's time to let go. How do I know when to let go and fly toward the sun? I'm waiting for the signal.